The year was 2247, deep in the cold darkness of space, far from Earth and far from home. A mining ship called the Starfall moved slowly through the asteroid belt of the Vela system. The ship was old. Its walls had rust in some places. Its engines made sounds that worried the captain. But it still worked, and that was enough. Kang Taeho sat alone in the maintenance room. He was 28 years old, born in Bizan, a city by the sea on Earth. He had not seen that sea in 4 years. Out here, there was no sea. There was no sky. There was only metal walls, recycled air, and the endless black of space. Tae-Ho was not a tall man. He was not strong in the way soldiers were strong. But his hands were clever. They could fix things. Broken engines, dead computers, pipes that leaked strange fluids. The crew called him the miracle worker because he could repair machines that others said were impossible to save. Tonight, he was fixing a small robot that cleaned the floors. It was simple work. Boring work. But Taeho did not mind boring. Boring meant safe. Boring meant everyone would live another day. Then the alarm screamed. Red lights flashed across the ceiling. Taeho dropped his tools and ran to the control room. The captain, a tired woman named Byun, stood before the main screen. Her face was pale. "What is it?" Taeho asked. "Unknown vessel," Captain Byun said. "It came out of nowhere. It's tumbling through space without control. Losing atmosphere. Losing power." On the screen, Taeho saw the ship. It was beautiful in a terrible way. Silver and curved, like something grown rather than built. Nothing like human ships. Nothing like anything he had ever seen. "Is it alien?" Someone whispered. "Lunari," the captain said quietly. "It has to be. Look at the design." Taeho felt his heart beat faster. The Lunari. Everyone knew the stories. An ancient race older than humans by thousands of years. They had technology that made human science look like children's toys. They never talked to humans. They never traded with humans. They acted like humans did not exist at all. "Life signs?" Taeho asked. The sensor officer checked his screen. 1. Weak. Very weak. Fading. Captain Byun shook her head. "We can't get involved. The Lunari don't want contact with us. If we board that ship, it could start a war. We are a mining vessel, not a diplomatic mission." The crew nodded. It made sense. It was the smart choice, but Taeho looked at the screen. He looked at that beautiful dying ship. He thought about the one life sign. Weak. Fading. Someone was dying in there. Someone was alone and afraid in the dark. "I'll go," he said. Everyone turned to look at him. "Are you crazy?" the captain asked. "Did you hear what I just said?" "I heard," Taeho said. "But someone is dying. If I do nothing, that person dies. I can't live with that." "I won't. You could die too," Captain Byun said. "Then I die doing something right," Taeho answered. "That's better than living wrong." The captain stared at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. "You have 1 hour. Take the small shuttle. If you're not back by then, we leave without you. I'm sorry, but I have 30 crew members to protect." "I understand," Taeho said. He was already walking toward the shuttle bay. The small shuttle crossed the dark space between the two ships. Taeho flew it himself. His hands were steady. His breathing was calm. Fear was there, yes. But fear was just a feeling. It did not control him. He docked with the alien ship. The metal groaned. Air hissed. But his seal held. He put on his helmet and stepped inside. The Lunari ship was dark. Emergency lights glowed soft blue along the floor, but most systems were dead. The air was thin and cold. Taeho moved carefully, following his life sign detector. He found bodies. 2 of them. Guards, maybe? They wore silver armor and held weapons that looked like frozen lightning. Both were dead. Their wounds told a story. This was not an accident. Someone had attacked this ship. Pirates? Enemies? Tejo did not know. He kept moving. The life sign led him to a small room at the center of the ship. A bedroom, perhaps. There, on the floor, he found her dot. She was Lunari. Her skin was silver blue, like moonlight on water. Her hair was white as snow, spread around her head like a halo. Her eyes were closed. Blood covered her chest. Too much blood. Tejo knelt beside her. He checked for breathing. Yes. Weak, but yes. He checked her wounds. A deep cut across her stomach. Burns on her arms. She should already be dead. Any human would be dead. But she was not human. He worked fast. He had brought a medical kit from the Starfall. Human medicine. Human tools. They were not made for Lunari bodies. He did not know if they would work, but he had to try. He cleaned the wounds. He sealed them with medical gel. He wrapped bandages tight around her body. He gave her oxygen from his own tank. He talked to her, even though she could not hear. "Stay with me," he whispered. "You're not dying today. Not while I'm here." 30 minutes passed. 40. The captain's voice came through his radio. "Tejo, time is almost up. What's your status?" "I found a survivor," he said. "Female, badly wounded. I'm bringing her back. Is she stable?" Tejo looked at the Lunari woman. Her breathing was a little stronger now. Her wounds had stopped bleeding. He did not understand how. Human medicine should not work this well on alien biology. But somehow, it did. "She's stable enough," he said. "I'm coming home." He lifted her in his arms. She was lighter than he expected. Delicate, like carrying a sleeping child. He walked back through the dead ship, past the bodies of her guards, through the emergency-lit halls. He loaded her into his shuttle Dot. As the shuttle flew back to the Starfall, Tejo looked at her face. She was beautiful. Strange and beautiful. Silver tears had dried on her cheeks. She had been crying before she lost consciousness. Crying and alone and waiting to die. But she would not die. Not today. Tejo would make sure of that. He did not know her name. He did not know she was a princess. He did not know that this one moment would change his life forever and alter the history of 2 species. All he knew was that someone needed help. And he had helped. That was enough. That was always enough. The Starfall opened its bay doors. The shuttle flew inside. And Kang Tejo, a simple maintenance worker from Bazin, carried an alien princess into the medical bay. The crew watched in silence. No one knew what to say. This was the beginning. 3 days passed. The Lunari woman did not wake. She lay on the medical bed, breathing slowly, healing in ways the ship's doctor could not explain. Her wounds closed faster than any human wounds. Her body temperature was lower than a human's, but steady. She was alive. That was all that mattered. Tejo visited her every day. He sat beside her bed and watched her sleep. Sometimes he talked to her. He told her about Earth, about the sea in Bizon, about the smell of salt in the air and the sound of waves on the shore. He did not know if she could hear him, but he talked anyway. The crew was nervous. They had an alien on their ship, a Lunari. No human had ever been this close to one. Some crew members wanted to contact Earth. Others wanted to contact the Lunari directly. Captain Byun said no to both. They would wait. They would see what happened when she woke up. On the 4th morning, she woke up. Te-Ho was there. He had fallen asleep in the chair beside her bed. A sound woke him. A small, sharp breath. He opened his eyes and saw her sitting up, looking at him with eyes like silver stars. She screamed. It was not a scream of pain. It was a scream of fear and anger. She jumped off the bed and pressed herself against the wall. Her hands searched for a weapon that was not there. Her whole body shook. "Where am I?" she demanded. Her voice was rough, weak, but filled with fire. "What have you done to me?" Taeho raised his hands slowly. He kept his voice calm and soft. "You're safe," he said. "You're on a human ship. I found you. Your ship was destroyed. I brought you here and treated your wounds." She stared at him. Her silver eyes were full of distrust. "Human?" she said. The words sounded like a curse in her mouth. "Primitive, violent. Why would a human help me?" "What do you want?" "I want nothing," Taeho said simply. "You were dying. I helped. That's all." She did not believe him. He could see that. But she was too weak to fight, too weak to run. She slid down the wall and sat on the floor, still watching him with those burning eyes. "I am your prisoner," she said. It was not a question. "No," Taeho said. "You are our guest. When you are well enough to leave, you may leave. We will not stop you." She laughed. It was a bitter, broken sound. "Lies. All species lie. All species want something. Your people will sell me, or use me, or kill me. That is what humans do." Taeho felt sad when he heard this. He did not know what stories the Lunari told about humans. But clearly, those stories were not kind. He stood up slowly. "I will bring you food," he said, "and water. You need to eat. You need to heal." She said nothing. She just watched him leave with those distrustful eyes. Taeho brought her food. Simple things. Bread, fruit, clean water. He did not know what Lunari ate, but these were the gentlest foods he could find. He placed the tray on the table and stepped back. "I will leave you alone," he said. "If you need anything, press the button by the bed. I will come." Then he left. He did not push. He did not ask questions. He just left. This confused her. She expected threats. She expected demands. She expected the cruelty her teachers had warned her about. Instead, she got kindness. Quiet, simple kindness. She did not touch the food. Not at first. She thought it might be poisoned. But hours passed and hunger won. She ate a little. It was strange food, but not bad. The water was clean and cold. The next day, Taeho came again. He brought more food. He also brought a small device. "This is a translator," he said. "It will help us understand each other better." "May I?" She hesitated, then nodded. He placed the device on the table near her. He did not try to touch her. He did not come close. He respected her space. Over the next several days, this pattern continued. Taeho visited twice a day. He brought food and water. He asked how she felt. He never pushed for answers. He never asked who she was or why her ship was attacked. He just helped out slowly, very slowly. She began to talk. Her name was Yuna. She was the third daughter of Emperor Dae-Jung, ruler of the Lunari Dominion. She had been traveling to a diplomatic meeting when pirates attacked her ship. Her guards died protecting her. She almost died too. Would have died, if not for him. When she told him she was a princess, Taeho's reaction surprised her. "Does that change whether you need dinner?" he asked. She stared at him. Then, for the first time, she almost smiled. It was small, just a tiny curve of her lips. But it was real. "No," she admitted. "I suppose it does not." Days turned into a week. Yuna grew stronger. Her wounds healed completely, leaving only faint silver scars. She began to walk around the medical bay, then around the halls of the ship. The crew kept their distance, unsure and afraid. But Tejo always walked beside her, answering her questions about the ship, about humans, about Earth. One day, Yuna found him in the maintenance room. He was fixing something, always fixing something. His hands moved with skill and care, like an artist creating something beautiful. "You are not like other humans," she said. He looked up. "I don't know many other humans out here. Maybe we're all like this?" "No," she said. "Your history is full of war, of violence, of cruelty to each other and to your own planet. My people have studied you for centuries. We stayed away because we believed you were too dangerous to contact." Tejo put down his tools. "Those things are true," he admitted. "We have done terrible things, but we have also done beautiful things. Built hospitals, created music, saved strangers. Humans are complicated. We can be the worst, but we can also be the best." Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached into her robe and pulled out a small pendant. It was broken. The chain was snapped and the crystal was cracked. "This was my mother's," she said. "She died when I was young. This is all I have left of her. It broke during the attack. I thought it was lost forever, but it was in my pocket." Tejo took the pendant gently. He looked at it closely. "I can fix this," he said. "It will take time, but I can fix it. Why would you do this?" Yuna asked. "I have nothing to give you." Tejo smiled. That quiet, gentle smile that she was beginning to know. "You don't need to give me anything. I fix things. That's what I do." 3 days later, he returned the pendant to her. It was perfect. Not just fixed, but restored. The chain was new. The crystal was carefully repaired, and it glowed softly in her hands. Yuna held it to her chest. Tears, silver and bright, fell from her eyes. Not sad tears. Something else. Something she had not felt in a long time. She looked at Tejo. This small, quiet human who asked nothing and gave everything. "Thank you," she whispered. He nodded. "You're welcome, princess." That night, alone in her room, Yuna looked at the pendant and thought about everything she had been taught about humans. Then she thought about Tejo. Perhaps she thought, not everything the teachers said was true. Perhaps there was more to these humans than anyone knew. 2 weeks after Yuna woke up, the Lunari came for her dot. It happened without warning. One moment, the Starfall was alone in the darkness of space. The next moment, 12 warships surrounded it. They appeared from nowhere, as if they had folded space itself. Each ship was massive, beautiful, and terrifying. Silver hulls glowed with strange energy. Weapons pointed at the small mining vessel from every direction. The crew panicked. Alarms screamed. People ran to their stations. Captain Bune stood frozen on the bridge, staring at the view screen. "We are going to die," someone whispered. Yuna walked onto the bridge. She was calm. Too calm. She looked at the ships and nodded slowly. "They found me," she said. "I sent a signal 3 days ago. I did not tell you because I did not want you to be afraid." "Afraid?" Captain Bune's voice cracked. "We're surrounded by warships. They could destroy us in seconds." "They will not," Yuna said. "I will speak to them." She walked to the communication station and pressed several buttons. The main screen flickered. A face appeared. It was a Lunari male, old and stern, with armor that shone like polished stars. "Princess Yuna," the male said. He bowed his head. "We have been searching for you. Your father has been distressed." "I am well, Commander," Yuna said. "Thanks to these humans. They saved my life. They treated me with respect and kindness. You will not harm them." The commander looked confused. "Humans? These primitive creatures saved you?" "One of them did," Yuna said. "And he asked for nothing in return. I want him to come with me to Seraphil." He deserves recognition. My father should meet him." The commander was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded stiffly. "As you wish, Princess. We will dock and take you home." The communication ended. The crew breathed again, but they were not relaxed. Not even close. Yuna turned to Captain Byun. "I need Taeho to come with me. Will you allow this?" The captain looked at Taeho, who stood quietly in the corner. He had not said a word during the entire exchange. "Taeho," the captain said, "you don't have to go. This is not an order." Taeho looked at Yuna. He looked at the massive warships on the screen. He thought about what might happen. Best case, he becomes a minor footnote in history. Worst case, he starts a war or dies on an alien world. But Yuna's eyes were asking. Not demanding, asking, and she had no one else. Her guards were dead. Her family was far away. She was alone, and he had been her only friend for 2 weeks. "I'll go," Taeho said. "Someone has to make sure she eats dinner." Yuna almost smiled. Almost. Captain Byun sighed heavily. "Don't start an interstellar incident." "I'll try," Taeho said. 1 hour later, Taeho stood on a Lunari shuttle. It was nothing like human ships. The walls seemed alive. Lights pulsed in gentle rhythms. The air smelled like flowers and rain. Everything was beautiful and strange. Yuna sat beside him. She watched his face as he looked around. "You are not afraid," she observed. "I'm terrified," Taeho said honestly. "But fear doesn't help anything, so I ignore it." "That is very human," Yuna said. "To feel fear and act anyway. What do Lunari do?" "We try to avoid situations that cause fear," Yuna said. "We believe fear is a warning, a sign to step back." "Sometimes," Taeho agreed. "But sometimes fear is just the door you have to walk through." The journey to Starfall took 3 days. During that time, Yuna taught Taeho basic things about her culture. How to bow, how to speak to royalty, what words to never say. Taeho listened carefully and practiced. He made many mistakes, but he kept trying. When the ship finally arrived at Starfall, Taeho forgot how to breathe. The Lunari homeworld was impossible. Cities floated among clouds of glowing particles. Towers stretched toward the sky like frozen waterfalls. Ships flew everywhere, graceful as birds. The sky was purple and pink and gold, with 3 moons visible even in daylight. "This is your home?" Taeho whispered. "This is Starfall," Yuna said. "The heart of our dominion. We have lived here for 12,000 years. 12,000 years. Humans had only left Earth 300 years ago. The Lunari had built this world before humans learned to write." Taeho felt very small, very young, very primitive, but he stood straight. He kept his face calm. He was here now. He would see it through. The shuttle landed at the Imperial Palace. It was the largest building Taeho had ever seen. White stone and silver metal. Gardens that seemed to sing with color. Guards in shining armor who looked at him with cold, curious eyes. Yuna led him through endless halls. Servants stopped and stared. Nobles whispered behind their hands. A human in the palace. How strange. How shocking. How absurd. Finally, they reached the throne room. The doors were 30 feet tall. They opened silently, revealing a chamber of light and wonder. Pillars rose like trees. The ceiling showed the stars themselves, moving slowly in ancient patterns. And at the far end, on a throne of crystal, sat Emperor Dae-Young. He was tall. Taller than any Lunari Taeho had seen. His face was carved from stone, hard and unreadable. His eyes were gold, burning with power and intelligence. He wore robes of deep blue, and a crown of silver sat upon his white hair. Yuna walked forward and knelt. Taeho followed, kneeling beside her. "Father," Yuna said. I have returned, my daughter. The Emperor's voice was deep and heavy. You were lost. Now you are found. This brings me joy. I was saved, Yuna said. By this human. His name is Kang Taeho. He found my dying ship. He treated my wounds. He asked for nothing in return. The Emperor's golden eyes turned to Taeho. They studied him carefully, judging him, measuring him, finding him small and weak and insignificant. A human, the Emperor said. A simple human saved the life of my daughter. Yes, father, Yuna said. The Emperor was silent. The entire court held its breath. Then he spoke again. And his words changed everything. By the ancient laws of our people, the Emperor said, he who saves a daughter of the throne must take her as his bride. This is tradition. This is honor. This is how we reward those who protect royal blood. Taeho's heart stopped. You will marry my daughter, human? Emperor Daeyong declared. This is not a request. This is the law. And the law will be obeyed. The court gasped. Yuna's eyes went wide. Taeho knelt on the cold floor of an alien palace, surrounded by beings who saw him as primitive, told by an emperor that he must marry a princess he had saved from death. This was not how he expected dinner to go. Not at all. The throne room was silent. Every Lunari noble, every guard, every servant held their breath. They waited for the human to accept his incredible fortune. A primitive creature from a young species suddenly offered a princess of the Dominion. He should be crying with joy. He should be bowing with gratitude. Instead, Kang Taeho stood up. He looked directly at the Emperor. And he said a single word, no. The silence shattered in the chaos. Nobles shouted in anger. Guards reached for their weapons. Whispers flew through the crowd like frightened birds. Even Yuna stared at Taeho with shock in her silver eyes. Emperor Daeyong raised one hand. The room went quiet again. His face showed nothing, but his golden eyes burned with something dangerous. No? The Emperor repeated. The word was cold and heavy. You refuse me? I refuse the demand, Taeho said. His voice did not shake. Not out of disrespect, but because marriage should be a choice. Where I come from, two people marry because they want to, because they love each other, because they choose each other freely. Your customs are not our customs, the Emperor said. I understand, Taeho replied, but I cannot pretend they do not exist. I saved Princess Yuna because it was the right thing to do, because she was dying, and I could help. I did not do it for a reward. I did not do it to gain a wife. If I accept this marriage, it would dishonor us both. It would turn my kindness into a transaction. It would make her a prize instead of a person. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You believe you know better than 12,000 years of tradition. No, Taeho said. I only know what I believe. And I believe marriage without choice is not really marriage. It is something else. Something smaller. Something sad. A noble stepped forward. His face was twisted with rage. This creature insults our ways. He spits on our laws. Execute him. Several voices agreed. The guards looked at the Emperor, waiting for the order, but Emperor Daeyong did not give it. Instead, he studied Taeho with new interest, like a scholar examining a strange insect, like a hunter watching unexpected prey. You are either very brave, the Emperor said, or very stupid. Probably both, Taeho admitted. Something flickered in the Emperor's eyes. It might have been anger. It might have been amusement. It was hard to tell. Leave us, the Emperor commanded. Everyone except the human and my daughter. The court emptied quickly. Guards closed the massive doors. Soon, only 3 figures remained in that vast hall of light and stars. The Emperor stepped down from his throne. He walked closer to Taeho, stopping only a few feet away. This close, his presence was overwhelming. Power radiated from him like heat from a star. "I have ruled for 500 years, the emperor said quietly. "In that time, no one has refused me. Not once, not ever." Taeho stayed calm. "Then I am the first." "Yes," the emperor said. "You are. And I want to know why." "I told you why." "You told me words," the emperor replied. "Words are easy. Anyone can say them. But you, a tiny human on an alien world, surrounded by enemies, facing certain death, you said no anyway. That is not words. That is something else." Taeho thought carefully before speaking. "Where I come from, we have a saying. The measure of a person is what they do when no one is watching. But I think there's another measure. What do you do when everyone is watching? When saying the right thing might cost you everything." "And the right thing," the emperor said, "was to refuse a princess?" "The right thing was to refuse a forced marriage," Taeho corrected. "Your daughter is not a thing to be given. She is a person. She should choose her own path, her own partner, her own life." The emperor turned to Yuna. "And what do you say, daughter? Do you agree with this human?" Yuna had been quiet this whole time. Now she stepped forward. Her voice was steady, but Taeho could see her hands trembling slightly. "Father," she said, "I have spent 2 weeks with this man. He is strange. He is confusing. He does things that make no sense to me. But he is also the first person in my life who wanted nothing from me. The first person who treated me as a person, not as a princess. He gave me kindness without expecting anything back. I did not know such people existed." She paused. Then she continued, "I do not know what I want. I do not know if I want to marry him. But I know that I want the right to choose. Not because tradition says I must. Not because you say I must. Because I decide. Is that not what you always taught me? That true power is the power to choose?" Emperor Daeyun was silent for a long time. His face revealed nothing. Finally, he spoke. "You have surprised me," he said to Taeho. "Both of you have surprised me. And I am not easily surprised." He returned to his throne and sat down heavily. "Very well," the emperor declared. "I will not force this marriage. Not today. But I will not release you either, human. You have seen our homeworld. You know things no human should know. I cannot simply let you leave." Taeho nodded. He expected this. "You will stay here," the emperor continued, "for 1 lunar cycle. 30 days. My daughter will show you our ways. You will learn about us, and we will learn about you. At the end of that time, you may choose again. If you still refuse, you will be free to leave. And diplomatic relations between our species will remain closed, forever." The weight of those words settled on Taeho's shoulders. If he refused, he would doom any future friendship between humans and Lunari. Billions of lives might be affected by his choice. "That is a heavy burden to place on one man," Taeho said. "Yes," the emperor agreed. "It is, but you chose to carry it when you rescued my daughter. Now you must see it through." Taeho looked at Yuna. She looked back at him. There was fear in her eyes, but also something else. Hope, maybe. Or curiosity. 30 days, Taeho said finally. "I will learn. I will listen. And then I will choose." "Fair enough," the emperor said. "Guards will show you to your chambers. You will be treated as an honored guest, not a prisoner. But do not mistake my patience for weakness. If you try to escape or cause trouble, I will not be merciful twice." Taeho bowed. Not deeply, but respectfully. "I understand." As guards led him away, Yuna watched him go. This strange human who had refused an emperor to his face, who had defended her right to choose, who seemed afraid of nothing and wanted nothing. She did not understand him at all, but she wanted to dot, and for the first time in her life. What she wanted mattered more than what she was told to do. That night, alone in her chambers, Yuna looked at her mother's pendant and thought about choice, about freedom, about a quiet man with gentle hands, who fixed broken things. 30 days. Everything could change. In 30 days. Everything would. The first week was awkward. Yuna took Taeho through the floating cities of Sarafo. She showed him gardens where flowers sang in different colors. She showed him libraries where books wrote themselves. She showed him temples where the Lunari prayed to stars that had died millions of years ago. Taeho watched everything with wide eyes. He asked many questions. Too many questions, according to some nobles. But Yuna did not mind. His curiosity was genuine. He wanted to understand, not just to see. Why do the flowers sing? He asked in the Garden of Echoes. They absorb sound during the day, Yuna explained. At night, they release it as music. Each flower remembers different sounds. Some remember rain. Some remember voices. Some remember songs from 1,000 years ago. Taeho touched a petal gently. The flower hummed a melody he did not recognize. Something ancient and sad and beautiful. On Earth, he said, flowers just grow. They don't sing. They don't remember. They just exist. Is that sad? Yuna asked. I used to think so, Taeho said. But maybe not. Maybe there's beauty in simplicity too. A flower that just exists is still beautiful. It doesn't need to sing. Yuna thought about this. The Lunari always added to things. Made them more. Made them better. The idea that something could be beautiful by just being itself was strange to her. Strange, but interesting. Days passed. Taeho tried to learn Lunari customs. He practiced their formal bows. He studied their language. He attempted their meditation, sitting still for hours while trying to empty his mind. He was terrible at it. You are supposed to think of nothing, Yuna said. Watching him fidget. How can I think of nothing? Taeho asked. Thinking of nothing is still thinking of something. It's thinking about nothing. Which is something. Yuna blinked. You are the most confusing person I have ever met. I get that a lot, Taeho admitted. But slowly, day by day, something changed. The awkwardness faded. The formal distance between them grew smaller. They began to talk. Really talk. Not about culture or politics or duty. About themselves. Yuna told him about her mother, who died when she was young. About her father, who was kind but distant. About her brothers and sisters, who saw her as the weakest because she was third born. About her life in the palace, surrounded by people but always alone. I have everything, she said one night, sitting on a balcony above the glowing city. Wealth, power, beauty, everything. But I have never had a friend. Not a real one. Everyone wants something from me. Everyone has a plan. Everyone sees the princess, not Yuna. Taeho sat beside her, looking at the moons. I understand that more than you know. How? Yuna asked. You are a maintenance worker. A simple man from a simple world. Simple doesn't mean easy, Taeho said. I grew up poor. My father died when I was 10. My mother worked 3 jobs to feed us. I started fixing things to help pay for food. By the time I was 15, I was better than most adults. But nobody saw me. They saw the repair boy, the useful tool. Not a person, just a function. Yuna was quiet. Then she said, We are not so different. No, Taeho agreed. I don't think we are. In the second week, Yuna asked to learn about Earth. Taeho told her stories. About human history. About their wars and their mistakes. But also about their triumphs. Their art, their music, their stubborn refusal to give up. He showed her a documentary on his small human device. It was about Earth's climate recovery, how humans had almost destroyed their planet, how they had come together at the last moment, how they had spent 200 years fixing what they broke. "You poisoned your own world," Una said, watching images of dead forests and black oceans. "Yes," Taeho said. "We did, and then you saved it. Yes, we did that too." Una shook her head slowly. "Your species is insane." "Probably," Taeho agreed. "But we're still here." He told her about his grandmother, a woman who had survived 3 famines, 2 wars, and the collapse of her home city. A woman who had lost everything, rebuilt everything, and still smiled every day. "She used to say that life is not about avoiding pain," Taeho said. "It's about what you do after the pain. Do you lie down and die? Or do you stand up and try again?" "And what do humans do?" Una asked. "We stand up," Taeho said. "Always, no matter how many times we fall. We stand up." Something warm grew in Una's chest, something she could not name. This human was so fragile, so short-lived. His entire life was just a moment compared to hers. And yet he carried a fire inside him that she had never seen in anyone. In the 3rd week, Taeho faced a challenge. A noble named Lord Hanwul demanded a ceremonial duel. He said Taeho had dishonored the Lunari by refusing the Emperor. He said humans were cowards who only knew how to run and hide. He said a lot of things, each one more insulting than the last. "You don't have to accept," Una told Taeho. "He's trying to humiliate you. The duel is not to the death, but he will hurt you badly. He has trained for centuries." Taeho looked at Lord Hanwul, who stood in the courtyard with a glowing weapon in his hand and a cruel smile on his face. "If I refuse," Taeho said, "he will keep insulting me. And he will keep insulting humans. And everyone will believe he is right." "You cannot win," Una said. "Maybe not," Taeho agreed. "But I can try." He walked into the courtyard. He picked up a training weapon. It felt strange in his hands. Too light. Too smooth. But it was what he had. Lord Hanwul attacked immediately. He was fast. Faster than anything Taeho had ever seen. The first blow knocked Taeho down. The second cut his arm. The third nearly broke his ribs, but Taeho got up. He got up every time. Again and again. Lord Hanwul struck him down 10 times, 20 times. And every time, Taeho stood back up. He never landed a single blow. He never came close to winning. But he never stayed down. He never surrendered. He never asked for mercy. Finally, Lord Hanwul stopped. He was breathing hard. Not from exhaustion, but from something else. Confusion, maybe. Or respect. "Why do you keep getting up?" he demanded. "You cannot win. You know this. Why continue?" Taeho wiped blood from his lip. His whole body screamed with pain. But he smiled that quiet smile. "Because I am still breathing," he said. "And as long as I am breathing, I don't quit." Lord Hanwul stared at him for a long moment. Then he lowered his weapon. "You are a fool," he said. "But you have courage. More courage than I expected from a human." He bowed. Not deep, but genuine. "I withdraw my challenge." He walked away. The crowd watching from the edges of the courtyard was silent. They had expected entertainment. A quick humiliation. Instead, they saw something else. Something they did not understand. Una rushed to Taeho's side. "You idiot," she said, but there were tears in her eyes. "You complete idiot." Taeho laughed, then winced. "That's fair." She helped him to the medical center. As they walked, Una realized something. She was not just curious about this human anymore. She cared about him. She cared about him more than she had ever cared about anyone, and that terrified her. Prince Hyeon-sik watched from the shadows. He had been watching for weeks. He was the eldest son of Emperor Dae-young, the heir to the throne, the future of the Lunari Dominion, and he hated everything he saw: a human. A filthy, primitive human walking through their sacred halls, eating their food, learning their secrets, and worst of all, capturing the heart of his youngest sister. Hyeon-sik was not blind. He saw how Yuna looked at the human. He saw how she smiled when the creature was near. He saw the way they talked, laughed, walked side by side like equals. It disgusted him. Lunari were the oldest race in this region of space. They had built empires while humans were still living in caves. They had created art while humans were drawing stick figures on walls. They were gods compared to these short-lived insects. And now one of those insects might marry into the royal family. No, Hyeon-sik would not allow it. He met with his allies in secret, nobles who shared his beliefs, warriors who served his interests. They gathered in a dark chamber beneath the palace, far from listening ears. The deadline is in 3 days, Hyeon-sik said. If the human survives, he may choose to marry Yuna. My father seems open to this possibility now. He has grown soft. What do you propose? Asked Lord Dae-yeon, a thin noble with cold eyes. An accident, Hyeon-sik said. During the final ceremony, there will be chaos, confusion. In that confusion, the human will die, tragically, unavoidably. And the princess? Another noble asked. She will grieve, Hyeon-sik said carelessly. Then she will forget. And she will marry someone proper. Someone I choose. Someone who will strengthen our bloodline instead of weakening it. The nobles nodded. Assassins were summoned. Plans were made. Everything was arranged. What Hyeon-sik did not know was that someone else was listening. Lady Sua was Yuna's handmaiden. She had served the princess since childhood. She was quiet and plain, the kind of person that powerful people forgot existed. But she heard everything. She saw everything. And she was loyal to Yuna, not to the prince. She waited until the conspirators left. Then she ran. Yuna was in her chambers when Sua burst through the door, breathing hard and pale with fear. Princess, Sua gasped. You must listen. Your brother, Hyeon-sik. He plans to kill Taeho. Yuna went cold. What? Sua told her everything. The secret meeting. The plan. The assassins waiting for the final ceremony. Every terrible detail. When she finished, Yuna was shaking. Not with fear, with rage. My own brother, she whispered. My own blood. What will you do? Sua asked. Yuna stood. She looked at herself in the mirror. For years, she had been the good princess, the obedient daughter, the one who followed rules and did what she was told. No more. I will warn Taeho, she said, and then we will ruin my brother's plans. She found Taeho in his guest chambers. He was reading, trying to learn more about Lunari history. When he saw her face, he set the book aside. What's wrong? He asked. She told him everything. She expected fear, panic, maybe anger. Instead, Taeho listened quietly. When she finished, he was silent for a moment. So we have 3 days, he said finally. You should run, Yuna said. Leave sorrowful. Go back to your people. Forget about me. Forget about all of this. Taeho looked at her. His eyes were calm but serious. Is that what you want? Yuna opened her mouth to say yes. It was the smart choice. The safe choice. The choice that made sense, but she could not say it. Because it was not true. No, she admitted. Her voice broke. No, I don't want that. I don't want you to leave. I don't want to forget you. I don't want to go back to the way things were. I don't want any of that." Tears fell from her eyes. Silver tears, glowing in the dim light. "I don't know when it happened," she continued. "I don't know how. But somewhere in these weeks, you became important to me. More important than tradition. More important than duty. More important than my own safety." She looked at him, vulnerable and honest in a way she had never been with anyone. "I don't want you to marry me because my father commands it," she said. "I don't want you to marry me to save your species' diplomatic future. But if you ask me, truly ask me, as a man asking a woman, I would say yes. Not because I must, because I want to." The room was very quiet. The only sound was Yuna's soft breathing and the distant hum of the city outside. Taeho stood. He walked to her slowly. He reached out and gently wiped a tear from her cheek. "I'm not good with words," he said. "I'm not a poet or a prince. I'm just a man who fixes broken things. But I've never met anyone like you. You're brave and kind and stronger than you know. You see the world in ways I never imagined. You make me want to be better than I am." He took her hand in his. "I can't promise you wealth," he said. "I can't promise you power. I can't promise you anything except this. I will be here, every day, for as long as you want me. And I will never, ever let you feel alone again." Yuna looked at their joined hands. His skin was darker than hers, warm where hers was cool, rough where hers was smooth. Different species, different worlds, different in every possible way, and yet. "Then let's ruin your brother's plans together," Taeho said. And he smiled that quiet, gentle smile that she had come to love. Yuna laughed through her tears. "You're insane. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true." They spent the next 3 days planning. Suwa brought information about the assassins. Taeho studied the layout of the ceremonial hall. Yuna identified which guards might be loyal and which might be bought. They had no army. They had no weapons. They had only each other and their wits. But for Taeho, that had always been enough. The night before the ceremony, Yuna came to his chambers again. She was wearing simple clothes, not royal robes. She looked tired but determined. "Whatever happens tomorrow," she said, "I want you to know something." "What?" She stepped close and kissed him. It was gentle and soft and over too quickly. "That," she said simply. Then she turned and walked away, leaving Taeho standing alone with his heart beating fast and a smile on his face. Tomorrow? He might die, but tonight he was the luckiest man in the universe. The grand ceremonial hall was filled with light. Thousands of Lunari gathered to witness history. Nobles in silk robes, warriors in silver armor, servants carrying crystal trays of glowing drinks. Everyone who mattered was there. Emperor Daeyong sat on his throne at the center of the hall. Beside him stood Prince Hyeonsik, wearing a mask of calm politeness. But Yuna saw his eyes. They were watching, waiting. She stood near the front, dressed in ceremonial white. Taeho stood beside her, wearing a formal human suit that Suwa had found for him. He looked strange and out of place among the tall, silver-skinned Lunari. He also looked completely calm. "How are you so relaxed?" Yuna whispered. "I'm terrified," Taeho replied quietly. "But panicking won't help. So I pretend. That is either very wise or very stupid. Probably both." The ceremony began. Emperor Daeyong spoke ancient words in the old Lunari language. He talked about tradition, about honor, about the unexpected ways the universe worked. 30 days ago, the emperor said, I demanded that this human marry my daughter. He refused. He spoke of choice, of freedom, of the right to decide one's own path. The emperor paused. I thought him a fool. Perhaps I was the fool. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Today, the Emperor continued. I give them the choice. Truly give it. Kang Taeho of Earth, Yuna of Sarafel. What do you decide? This was the moment. Taeho stepped forward. All eyes turned to him. That was when the assassins moved. There were 5 of them, hidden among the guards. They threw off their disguises and raised weapons that crackled with deadly energy. They moved toward Taeho with murder in their eyes. Kill the human. One of them shouted. The crowd screamed. People ran. Chaos erupted in the beautiful hall. But Taeho was ready. He grabbed the nearest ceremonial decoration, a heavy metal stand, and swung it at the first assassin. The blow connected with the attacker's head. The man went down hard. Yuna moved at the same moment. She had hidden the blade in her robes. She was not a trained warrior, but she had learned basic defense. She blocked one assassin's strike and cut his arm, making him drop his weapon. The next seconds were brutal and fast that Taeho fought like a human. No elegance, no grace, just survival. He used everything as a weapon. Tables, chairs, plates. He kicked one assassin between the legs. He threw sand from a decoration into another's eyes. He fought dirty and desperate and refused to fall. Yuna fought beside him. They moved together without speaking, each protecting the other's back. When an assassin came close to stabbing Taeho, Yuna blocked it. When another tried to grab Yuna, Taeho tackled him to the ground. It lasted maybe 3 minutes. It felt like 3 hours. When it was over, all 5 assassins were down. Some unconscious. Some groaning in pain. None dead, but none able to fight. Taeho was bleeding from cuts on his face and arms. Yuna had a bruise forming on her cheek. They were both breathing hard, standing in the middle of the ruined ceremonial hall. Guards! Emperor Daeyoung's voice thundered through the chaos. Arrest those attackers. Loyal guards rushed forward. The assassins were seized. And then, one of them, the one whose arm Yuna had cut, pointed at Prince Hyeon-sik. He paid us. The assassin screamed. The prince! He ordered us to kill the human. Every eye turned to Hyeon-sik. The prince's face went white, then red. He drew himself up, ready to deny everything. But Lady Sua stepped forward. I heard the plan, she said clearly. 3 days ago, in the chamber beneath the palace, the prince ordered the assassination. Lord Duyan and others were with him. More witnesses came forward. Guards who had been approached. Nobles who had refused to participate. The evidence was overwhelming. Emperor Daeyoung's face was carved from ice as he looked at his eldest son. Is this true? He asked. Hyeon-sik said nothing. His silence was answer enough. You would murder a guest in our home, the emperor said. His voice was quiet but terrible. You would break our oldest laws of hospitality. You would shame our family before the entire dominion. For what? Pride? Hatred? Fear of change? He is a human, Hyeon-sik spat. A primitive creature. He is not worthy of our blood. I was protecting our legacy. You were protecting nothing but your own smallness, the emperor replied. Guards, take my son. Strip him of his titles. He is no longer heir. He is no longer prince. He is nothing. Guards dragged Hyeon-sik away. He screamed curses and threats, but no one listened. He had lost everything in a single moment. The hall was silent, destroyed and blood-stained, but silent. Emperor Daeyoung looked at Taeho. The human stood among the wreckage, bruised and bleeding, his formal suit torn. But he stood straight. He met the emperor's eyes without flinching. You knew, the emperor said. It was not a question. We knew there might be an attack, Taeho admitted. We did not know exactly when or how. We prepared as best we could. You could have told me. Would you have believed us? Your own son accused of murder? The emperor was silent. Then he nodded slowly. Perhaps not. Perhaps I would have dismissed it as human paranoia. He paused. It seems I have much to learn about humans. He turned to Yuna. And you, daughter. You fought beside him. You chose him over your own family. Yuna raised her chin. Ayansig was trying to commit murder. That is not family. That is betrayal. I chose justice. I chose the person who deserves my loyalty. And do you still wish to marry him? The emperor asked. Freely? Without command? Yuna looked at Taeho. He was a mess. Bleeding, sweating, surrounded by unconscious assassins. He looked exhausted and hurt and completely out of place. And she had never loved anyone more. Yes, she said. I choose him. Not because tradition says I must, but because he is the best person I have ever known. The emperor turned to Taeho. And you, human? Do you still refuse? Taeho smiled. That quiet, gentle smile that had started everything. I'm not refusing anything, he said. I'm choosing. There's a difference. He reached out and took Yuna's hand. Their fingers intertwined. Different colors. Different temperatures. Different in every possible way. And perfectly right. The emperor studied them for a long moment. Then, for the first time since Taeho had arrived on Seraphil, the great ruler smiled. Then let the ceremony continue, he said. In this hall of chaos and blood, let something beautiful happen. And it did. The wedding was simple. No more elaborate rituals. Just words spoken honestly. Promises made truly. Two people from different worlds, choosing each other. When it was done, Yuna kissed Taeho again. Not gently this time. Fiercely, like she was claiming him. Like she would never let go. The crowd, those who had returned after the fighting, cheered. Not everyone. Some nobles were silent and disapproving. But enough cheered. Enough believed. That night, they stood on a balcony above the glowing cities of Seraphil. 3 moons rose in the purple sky. Ships flew past like distant stars. It was beautiful, beyond words. I still can't believe this is real, Taeho said. Neither can I, Yuna admitted. A month ago, I was dying on a broken ship. Now I'm married to the man who saved me. Strange how life works. Strange, Yuna agreed. But good. A servant approached, bowing low. Your Highnesses. A message has arrived from the human government. They wish to discuss formal relations. Taeho laughed. Yuna squeezed his hand. For centuries, humans and Lunari had avoided each other. 2 species, too different to connect. Too afraid to try. Now, because of one man's kindness and one woman's courage, that might change. Treaties could be signed. Trade could begin. Friendship could grow. All because Taeho had looked at a dying alien and decided to help. What do you think? Yuna asked. Should we help our species become friends? Taeho looked at the stars. The same stars that shone over Earth, over Seraphil, over countless worlds he had never seen. I think, he said, that we should try. That's what humans do. We try. Even when it seems impossible. Especially when it seems impossible. Yuna leaned her head against his shoulder. Then let's try together. A new chapter was beginning. Not just for them, but for 2 species. A chapter written not with weapons or treaties, but with kindness, thought, with choice, with love. And somewhere, in a small city by the sea on a blue planet called Earth, Taeho's grandmother smiled. She did not know exactly what her grandson had done, but she knew, in the way grandmothers always know, that he had done something good, something very good indeed.